Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Jesse Martin here with Szentes, here to give you something that's really special. We asked you a question a couple weeks ago about what area of life is most important to you right now. And the main areas of life being personal health, relationships, your finances and money, or finding your higher purpose and meaning. And so we just wanted to come on and give you some really powerful and valuable wisdom that's going to really help you take wherever you're at, take what resources you have now, and get to your own next level in those areas. Because there's something that actually ties them all together, and we're going to share what that is. And you want to say hi too, Robert?
Hey guys, what's going on? I'm super excited to be here. We've got a really awesome presentation coming up for you, and I appreciate Jesse again for making this happen. So let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just to start this off, if you're coming on, say where you're at, where you're coming in from. If you're live, say hi to us so we can say hi back. And if you're watching the replay, just say, hey, replay, so we can kind of watch what your responses are or your questions are as we go through this, okay? Because if you watch this as a replay, post your questions and we'll actually come back and answer your questions too. So awesome. Why I wanted to come on is because if you look around in the world, there is so much struggle, so much, you could even say pain or difficultness in trying to achieve what you want, be the kind of person you want, or even just have the basic things in life that you want. Why do so many people struggle, right? Whether it's health, people's health is actually getting worse. We have more technology to solve people's medical problems than ever, but we have more disease than ever. We have more access to resources in the most abundant country, literally in the world, and people have more financial problems. Yes, there were more, let's say, poor classes long time ago, but in modern society, we have more disparity, so much more struggle with so much abundance around us. Why do people still struggle? Right? Mm-hmm. Relationships as well. We have more options to knowledge. We have more available resources, YouTube, Facebook, all these different places. We have lots of information. There's more books than ever. I can't remember the statistic, but there's something like 100 or something like 1,000 books per day being published, something insane. And we have more access to knowledge than ever, but why do people still struggle? And the same with purpose, mm-hmm. right? You have more opportunity to discover your purpose, to find the help you need, find the mentorship that you need. But why do people still struggle to find that purpose when you don't have to struggle just to stay alive anymore like you used to, right? People maybe 1,000 years ago, what did you do? You had to get up early, milk the cows, just survive, right? Make your way through the day. But we don't have to do that anymore. So why do people still struggle to find their purpose? And so that's what we're going to break down with you, because if you don't know the secret truth behind this, you're going to continue to keep spinning your wheels. You're going to keep looking for the next trick, the next book, and then wonder why it's not working. And there's a lot of information out there, a lot of, you can even say marketers. There's great marketers who tell you that, all you need is my book, hold up their book, and then you just buy my book, $7.95 plus shipping, everything, all your problems are going to be solved. And then what happens? Nothing changes, right?
Yeah.
And so the big problem with all this is that if you don't solve this, if you don't solve the real core truth behind all of this, the roots, what's really going on behind the surface, right? Like the Wizard of Oz curtain. If you don't pull back that curtain and look behind the scenes, you're going to keep struggling. You're going to keep looking for tricks or tips or little quick fixes. And some of it will kind of work, and then it'll stop working. Or many times it'll actually make the problem worse because it gives you sort of like a false sense of security, like with the job, right? A job's a false sense of security, or you think, hey, as long as I have my relationship, well, then what happens if the relationship changes, right? And people are always changing, or your money. And all of this connects together to help you find your higher meaning and purpose. And Robert, could you share what you see as like the pain that people are in? Like, why are they struggling so much with these surface level techniques, and how is that affecting their life negatively?
Well, Jesse, it's a loaded question, right? Because there are so many answers, and I could do a lecture on this for the next week without just barely stopping, right?
I bet you could,
but the main thing is because they are not aware of a few thousand steps that every single person should and needs to take. And the few thousand steps are not strategies. They are not something that they will have to do in terms of physical activity and go and read the book and so on and so forth. The strategy that they need to do is work on their mindset. You see, what I have seen is people do a really good job talking about childhood stuff, talking about, strategies about business and relationship and heal the child and communicate and go to the park and keep your voice down, all that stuff. It's fine. Yeah. But that only addresses about 30% of the real problems. The remaining 70% is deep, deep, deep in the unconscious. It's completely hidden and it is just going wild. Now, what's different between what you said like 100 years ago even, or hundreds of years ago, where we basically just wanted to get up, do our daily job, and the sun went down, that was the end of the day. Today, we don't have that luxury. Humanity has been demanded for a massive upgrade. Okay, that's true for you, it's true for me.
Mm-hmm. And the reason, and what does that mean, by the way? Because I get it now. I want to can we bring it down to sort of like let's say someone has never heard that, like humanity's evolving and all that. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, I was about to break it down, but it's a good question. So what that means is that old strategies that were holding true and were working and functioning 100 years ago will not function on purpose. As we evolve as a species, we cannot afford and we will not be tolerated to play small, to think small, and act small. If we do, the consequences are dire. This is true for about 70-80% of the population. And the way you will know this is that you are not comfortable. The way you know that is you have negative emotions. The way you know that is that you feel triggered by people. The way you know this is that you will wake up one morning and all of a sudden say, there must be more to life than this. So you have that inner desire, that's your inner spark that is no longer accepted to be hidden in the dark. You cannot hide anymore. You have to come, emerge, and learn how. And this is the part that's missing. People don't know how.
So true. It's so true. Where you look at the generations before us, like let's say our grandparents' generation, where it was totally normal just to work down at the tire factory or whatever. Yeah. And that was enough, right? Go home, your steak and potatoes, kiss the wife and you go to bed and do it all over again. But that is changing. That has completely changed. Yeah. And it's not just technology. Us as a species, evolutionarily and emotionally, we are changing, we are growing, we are evolving. So just going through the day with the same grind, the same thing that people have been doing in a new way, like taking the same factory mentality, the 2.5 kids and just have your dinner and go to bed and then do it all over again. You can't just take that same method into your internet business or a coaching business or whatever. You have to rise to a higher vibration. Am I understanding you right?
Yes, absolutely. And if you don't, then exactly what's going to happen, that's when the relationship problems are going to rise. Everything is going to be non-sustainable, which means temporary. So they will have a limited shelf life. Then health issues will arise. And then, of course, with all of those things in place, I don't think I have to really emphasize this, but it's impossible to be living purposefully and meaningfully, because the moment our health is gone, that becomes the main focus. Forget purpose. The moment we have a relationship problem, what becomes the main focus? The relationship problem, right? The moment we have money problems, that becomes the main focus. So what we are here to tell you guys is how all of these problems are just symptoms of a much bigger, much different entity altogether, which is a collection of unconscious programs that as we are going to break it down for you, as you feel the symptoms, as you experience the symptoms on the top level, it all boils down to just a few hundred core unconscious programs that are not taught, not known, not communicated, and not systemized. So that's why people do well for a while with meditations and certain techniques and whatnot, read a book. But what's missing is the remaining 70% where everything comes together.
Yeah, you're so right. I was struggling and looping in that for years and years. I could be what you used to call a self-development junkie, go to all the seminars, read all the books, watch all the YouTube videos, and, really proud of like how many Audible books I had or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Joe Dispenza or whatever. And this stuff is really cool. And I did all the meditations and I did all the stuff, but I had this like quiet unrest. Like on the surface, I kind of was holding it together, but I was just anxious and depressed and up and down and just not feeling like I'm on my purpose or my path.
Mm-hmm.
For someone who's in that position right now, they're not feeling like they're in their purpose. They're just doing the daily grind, the job, and they've kind of got little hints of something bigger, something better for their life, coaching others. What would you say to that person who's trying to find their purpose?
Well, I have two answers. One is that it takes me back in time over 10 years ago when I was a corporate employee and I was sitting in my beautiful BMW 5 Series in the San Diego rush hour traffic, 1.5 hours each way. And, I did it for about, 3 years, and I just called it quits because I said, I will either just kill myself. I can't live like this, or move to another area of the country where there's not so much traffic. So in other words, it was so much more than just the job because I loved the job. I really made good money and I loved the function. I loved the responsibilities I had, but I couldn't stand that feeling being stuck in that car and have nothing to look forward to. I felt I had no future. I felt all of my talents, all of my inner drive, that soul spark was leading nowhere. It was dying inside the car. I shut off the radio. I couldn't listen to podcasts anymore because I was just dying inside. And that's when my awakening moment was, and that's when I had my stroke. And I said, enough. You are meant to do more than this. But then the big question arose, Jesse, is how and what? Who do I learn from? Who do I go to? And that's exactly what you said. Then there's so much out there, the meditations and this and that technique. So bottom line, guys, is that if you're looking for your purpose, and we'll talk about the other three as well, if you're looking for your purpose, you have to understand that it is not something that is just presented to you. Your purpose is bubble wrapped several thousand times in all kinds of fears, in all kinds of other shiny objects, and in all kinds of other negative emotions. And what that means is that as you begin to work on your unconscious programs and you uncover your fears about your greatness, uncover fears about the next step, and overcome certain flavors of your fear of failure. And I know it may sound familiar, but there's 100 flavors of it, right? When you overcome that, that's the only time when you will be really start to at least have an idea of what your purpose might be. And then there's this other region of the mind that is so convoluted. They're so inaccessible to a common man. Meditation will not access it. All of the existing techniques won't. Because when you know that, that's when you're going to go down, remove additional layers of resistance, and then you will be able to go, my God. Because you will not only feel a lot less fear, but you will also feel like you will tear up. Yeah. And you will feel that connection. You will feel that connection to your higher self, to a higher good, to a higher guidance. Yeah. And that is, you've been there, right? I've felt it many times. And this is when you need to tap in and start peeling even more layers back. Because, there's, as you know, once we find it, yes, we tear up, nice. Okay, but very few people actually go for it because there's additional fears and additional strategies we need to implement. So if you ever felt that you were thinking of something where you could make an amazing amount of money and you could be living purposefully and meaningfully, and you don't have to report to a boss that you don't like, and you actually are in a fulfilling relationship and things in general work out, then you know the feeling, right? Most people don't ever experience the feeling. So that's exactly where we are advising you to go to, peel the layers back, all these, thousands of fears, and start unarchiving these things, because those are your gifts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the whole reason we created this group. I mean, I know we're on the same page on that because we've had these conversations before where one of the most fulfilling things is to give your gifts, overcome your own junk, not just sit and meditate and feel good for the moment, but really do the work. And people throw that term around, do the work.
Yes.
But learn how to systematically, consistently, piece by piece, step by step, and you said hundreds and sometimes even thousands of steps. Don't let that intimidate you. Whoever, if you're watching this right now, don't let that intimidate you, because here are the steps is, well, you want to get the top of Mount Everest, but you just got to take the steps. Don't worry about how long it's going to take. It might take a month, might take a year, might take 10 years, but it can actually happen very fast. As you were speaking, I actually got goosebumps because you talked about those moments where you just tear up, or I was literally getting chills because back to when I first learned some of these principles from you and started to apply the system, the process of unwiring all the junk, peeling back all the layers of junk to find that core purpose. And I did have moments before that, just little slivers, right? The little Costco sample, like sitting like, oh, there's a little sample of my purpose. And I know there's something there, but I had too much junk in the way to let myself do it, too many fears to let myself go for it, too many insecurities to do it confidently. And it sounds like that's the stuff that we really have to clean up. And I totally agree. Yeah. And so relating it to, say, health, I mean, that seems convoluted. Like, I've heard the mind-body connection and I get this now, but how does this relate to personal health?
Yeah, this happens to be one of my specialties, because after I had a stroke, my main mission, the most important thing in life, became to fix that. I was not accepting anything less than complete and total healing, even though the neurologist wanted to operate and help my brain out. I said, I just intuitively knew, no, absolutely not. I crawled out of the office and I said, enough. I know better. Somehow deep down, I knew better. So health is pretty much the last thing that tends to go, unfortunately. There's always thousands of unconscious messages that we receive weekly, but because this is not part of the general education, people don't know what to make of these feelings and messages, and we wonder if we are crazy, or we wonder if we interpret things right? So we just ignore them. And the more we ignore, the more junk we accumulate. The more junk we accumulate, the worse things get. That includes money, relationship, and health conditions. So health is sort of as I said, it's my specialty, but depending upon what condition there is always some fundamental core principles, some core stories, and some core unconscious programs that I would say about 200 of them are fundamentally applicable. And I can presuppose with a high level of confidence that they are present for each person that is not enjoying perfect health. And then there are other individual pieces that are unique to that particular health condition. So to sum it up very quickly, is that health conditions are just symptoms. Relationship problems are just symptoms. Money problems are just symptoms of a bigger thing that is unresolved. Okay, that is more like other unconscious blocks, unconscious programs in the mind. This is not common knowledge. I have learned from some of the best masters in the world. They are not in the public eye. They live on the mountaintop and just, make millions of dollars very effortlessly because they know the secret. So my main focus was to rebuild myself, which was a great success. Earlier this year, I have helped people with healing incredibly deadly diseases in just a few sessions, because I know what unconscious program caused it, and you remove the cause and the body rebuilds.
Yeah.
So
true. Yeah, and all these things are related together. People look at these areas of life like, hey, my money isn't related to my relationships, or my relationship isn't related to my health, or finding my greater purpose has nothing to do with, my money issues. Well, of course, actually it does.
Yeah.
People throw around these feel-good terms like, do what you love and the money will follow. And here's the thing, that's at the deepest core level. If you are actually in your purpose, what you truly love from a place of love and confidence, yes, the money does follow. But people try these little shortcuts like, oh, I love, whatever it is, right? I love online gaming. I love reading books. I love cooking. So if I just cook, then people will give me money. Like, well, no. You have to do it from a purposeful place. You have to peel back the junk. And then you'll think at this higher vibration. You'll think at this higher alignment. Like, do you think some people have made some money with, like, say, a cooking show or, a chef? Like, of course. Do you think there's been people, especially now in today's day and age, there is more opportunity to help people with your expertise as a coach, as an expert, helping others transform? But you can't just do the technique and ignore the deep, deep stuff. And meditation isn't enough. Meditation kind of puts you there for a moment, gives you a little sample, a flavor of being connected to that purpose. But to sustain it and stay there and actually be that leader, that person who has a higher vibration, has a higher meaning in life, you have to not just do the movements, do the technique, just act as if. You have to actually come from the core level, right?
Yeah, you have to be.
It does take work.
You have to become what you want to be, and that will not happen. And here's sort of the catch-22, or here's the kicker, is that I talk to many, many people a week. Most of these people are very intelligent, very educated. So this is not like we're talking to people that don't even have the fundamental basic education. These people are educated, they are good-hearted, hardworking, very diligent. They have pretty much the drive for life, but because this hasn't been taught, this is not commonly shared, they don't know the recipe, so they try harder, they do this strategy, follow this strategy, and eventually burn out. And look, you know it all too well. It was my case too. I was not willing to accept anything. I stood up and I walked into the door frame, and then I collapsed again, even after my stroke happened. So yeah, I had the strength, but I didn't have the mindset. I didn't have the inner game handled. And now I look back, and that term means a million things. At the time, it didn't really mean much. So yes, so I'm talking, what I'm saying here is that, yes, you can be very educated. You can be a really sweet, awesome person. It still is a must to learn. And if it's not learned, if it's not taken care of, then the problems, the symptoms, relationship health, and financial problems are likely to continue. Well, they will continue, guaranteed, but likely will even get worse over time.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no ifs and buts. I've seen it too many times.
So true. So true.
So,
and I would say the good news around all this is that there is a path out. I would say 0.001% of people have figured this out. But then you look at the world and you realize, why is only 0.001%? It's not the top 1%. This is like 0.001% of people who are wealthy, healthy, happy, have the great relationships. Why so few people actually have that? Because only that percentage of people actually understand this stuff, let alone teach it, right? Almost no one teaches this, right? And that's what inspired us to do this, because this is something that we've personally gone through. I know, like you just told your story, Robert, it came from, you came from like a very down in the dirt place, stroke on the verge of potential death, right?
Yeah.
Almost everything, including your health. But then you pulled yourself out, and more importantly, basically use your engineer's mind to actually process and use this journey that you had as a guidebook to pull people out, right?
Yep, exactly.
The way you teach things, where I've taken like I said, I was a seminar junkie. I spent well over 6 figures. That was my college education. I was running this semi-successful construction business, and I spent all my spare money on self-development because I'm trying to chase that purpose. But nothing really clicked together until I found what we teach now, which is how to actually put it all together systematically for yourself. How to actually diagnose what's really going on. Not just sit and meditate and, breathe. Like, that stuff's great. You do have to use the body. You do have to meditate. You do have to center yourself and take those moments. That's great for checking in. But you have to actually do the work, right? It's just like going to the gym. This is like treadmill for the soul. You have to go on the treadmill and actually do the work. And it does take work and it takes steps, but there is a system. There is a process for it, right?
Yeah. No, I love what you said, Jesse. And if you don't do it, and we mentioned this before, and that was my case too, because I did all the right things, I thought, but they were all the wrong things, or the right things with the wrong mindset. And of course, I was getting suboptimal results. And one of the things, because I was an engineer, and even as a kid, I grew up in Hungary, and that was not a rich country. So my father got a VCR, back then the video cassette recorder. What was like very expensive, state-of-the-art, leading edge. What was the first thing I did? I took it apart.
Yeah.
My parents almost fainted. But I did it with all the things, with all the toys. I took everything apart. And this is true for this whole unconscious world. I visited and personally have experienced a million different pain points, a million different health conditions, relationship troubles, financial troubles, challenges. And what I have done with the same thing is I took it apart. And then I put it back together, and I tested it on myself several times, and I started to use it, and it worked every time. Because we have this system now. We took it apart. Because the way it was put together obviously didn't work. So we took it apart, we put the puzzle back together so that the colors match, the picture is full, and now we're able to hand it to people so that it works every time.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are little bits and pieces, little slivers of this wisdom, but I've never seen this anywhere other than, here with like in one systematic process. Yeah. You can get the little inspiration from the meditation guy, and then the little inspiration from the other, business mentor, and all these little bits and pieces, but you have to do it all, right? It's like a lock. Like you put the key. Have you ever seen like the combination lock, right? You have all the numbers. Well, if you have 4 out of 5 numbers, the lock still doesn't open, right?
Yeah.
And most people only have one number, if that. They have like half a number.
Yeah, half a number. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. Like
Yeah.
they barely have the first number, and then they wonder why they don't have the relationship they want. Then they wonder why they're not on purpose, because they keep looking for that next expert, some guy, some girl who's just like talks a good game, but then can't actually impart the wisdom, right?
Yeah, you don't know how many people we talk to every single week, and they are trying this and they try this, and they hired a business coach for $5,000. And it was like, I know what's going on. I know why it's not working. I know why it's never going to work. This is the frustrating thing for me. But you have to also, as you know, Jesse, kind of accept people's evolution. And, that's why we're talking to people that are able to hear us.
Yeah.
And they are sick and tired of being sick and tired. They want to know the keys. It's not just one, several, and want to be able to apply it and become the next generation leading edge coaches that actually lift humanity up as a collective. And as a secondary byproduct, they will get their personal breakthrough, which is, I don't even know, it's $1 million plus value by itself. Not having to struggle in any area of life anymore.
Yeah. Like, what's the value of saving your health, or you say you somehow find your amazing relationship, but then what's the value of not sabotaging it, saving it, going through the divorce and the heartache, and what's the value of finding your life purpose? You only get one of these lives. This one, you got one right here. Like, it could be argued, your soul has many lives, but right now you have this one body, this one life.
So that would be ego talk, right? That would be the ego talk. And I have many lives. The ego loves to delay things and is fixated on telling us that later, and the later never comes.
Yeah, loves later, right?
Yeah, the ego loves health solutions. So that's why some of the speakers that are really well off financially and otherwise spiritually, they will tell you, they say the time is right now. Later will never come, and that's a dirty game. And you've experienced, and I have experienced that too. Yeah. So is it okay if we just quickly, for like a couple minutes, address money and then relationship problems, what they are? Okay.
Please go.
What I have seen, and of course I had many, many relationship problems, and that is actually what makes me qualify to talk about it, because I know what happens when you don't know this stuff. And I also know what happens when you apply this stuff, and then you're able to see the 10,000 things that are going on in any given moment in a relationship. Many years ago, when I started to be mentored by some of the world's best, it was a PhD in spiritual psychology. He looked at me and says, Robert, I want you to know one thing. Most people have zero idea about what relationships are supposed to be about. Okay, zero, not even the first. We are unconsciously driven to them, but they don't even know the main purpose of a relationship. The purpose of a relationship is to heal each other and to trigger each other and find out what the triggers mean unconsciously and go deep dive together. But what do people do? They have no idea what's going on. They get all upset. They dash out the door. I used to do that too. Screw you. I'll find someone better. Yeah, baggage comes with whom? The one who carries it, right? Yeah. So, you date the next person with a different body, with the same person with a different body, and that's what's going on until you really start to understand that this is not a joke. It's a phenomenal game. You can have a lot of fun with it, but if you don't know the recipe, good luck. And it's either a relationship will take you up like a missile, like a rocket, or both of you will end up in hell. So there's no in between. It's just a matter of time. So the relationship has a lot of gifts in it when we know what to make of them. And then the money issues are back to the same sort of core unconscious collection of those stories, those unresolved things. And you can pull off a good enough game for a while, but all depends on your journey. What I have seen that most people, as they get more raise or like higher raises and they make more money, they become broke at a higher income level. Because as long as this unconscious baggage is not handled, it is just going to be the pattern. It is going to be the cycle. So what we do is help you identify these cycles, break the patterns, and rebuild from the core so that you can really enjoy the effortlessness that some of these seemingly irritating but wealthy people talk about.
Yeah.
Right? So
the keyword effortlessness, where you're not struggling, right? Like, relationships are hard work. Like, how many people have said that? I've heard that dozens of times, and I was like, I never want to be in a relationship, all through high school and even college. Like, relationships are such hard work. Like, well, that doesn't sound like something I want to be a part of, because they didn't know. They struggled. They didn't realize it's actually for a purpose and to grow together.
Yeah. Well, you understand now that hard work, actually, the moment I hear that, I already know the unconscious program they're fighting. It's a fight.
Yeah, of course. It's a fight.
Right? So And again, this is so complex, but it's so amazing. Like for me, this was the biggest gift I've ever been granted and gifted to or given to. And that is why I'm just so like in my purpose, focusing on helping, lifting the right people up, the next level of next generation of expert coaches, so that I can pass this knowledge on. That's part of my soul mission at this stage.
To help others learn this stuff so they can
learn this stuff. Yeah.
Same here. I mean, that's why we business partners. That's why we do this. That's why we help people, because both of us see the value in, if we can help, let's say 100,000 coaches help their people, that can really make a huge impact in the world. Truly.
Yeah, absolutely.
People change another 10,000 of their own. And that's a butterfly effect, right? A ripple effect.
And when I talk to people, they say, I have this and this and this problem. Boom, instantly, I have the 100 reasons, the 100 core reasons. So this is what I just like want to give away. Like this is what I want people to know. And you're one of the shining stars and shining examples as you learned and you applied. And I'm just so amazingly proud of you. And it's really awesome to have developed a business together with you.
Yeah, I mean, I love it too, because this feels so aligned. Like there's other things that I was trying to do in the past for business that I probably could have made a lot of money, but it felt so incongruent because it was just about trying to make a business successful so I can have the respect or make the money or get the car. But it felt so off. It felt like you said, there got to be more to life than this.
Yeah.
And that was like the phrase that would just be swimming through my head at night, in traffic, in the morning, going to work, all this stuff. But I'm so glad I'm on purpose here. Like I've never felt aligned. And when you're in that true alignment by doing and it was a journey, when you truly do the work by unwiring all the junk, letting it all go, peeling back the layers systematically, and do it with a process, because you can't just wing it and just say, cool, if I just keep meditating, hopefully it goes away. No, it doesn't work like that.
No. And one other thing I was going to mention, because it escapes me now. Oh yeah, the question I had is, you're able to see the comments. Do we have any questions from people?
No specific questions.
No specific questions.
I know one of the big questions was actually about money as well. So like, I know you hinted at this, but how does this relate to actually earning money and earning money consistently? Where like, let's say someone is a new coach and broke people keep showing up. And like, I have my vision, I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit, of course, but my perspective on this. But let's say there's a new coach and they have this gift, or they're really trying to help people. They're really trying to become a new coach. They're trying to, help people, put themselves out there, get clients, earn a good living from this. But right now they're still kind of stuck in the job or whatever. Why is that happening, and how do they get out of it?
All right. So to keep it, somewhat short, is if they feel that they're stuck in a job, then it's time to take the next step. Anytime we feel stuck, it's just an indication that whatever is not satisfying anymore. That's all. Right now, you might not know the strategy, but that's what mentorship is all about, or that's why mentorship exists. So for those coaches, for those people that feel that way, that they really want to learn this and they really want to just find their clients and then pass the knowledge on and enjoy just this remarkable breakthrough where they can make a lot of money, live purposefully, never be sick, or even if they get sick, they can heal themselves on the spot. Then what I would suggest is to go ahead and reach out to you. Jesse, you will probably put a link under this, right?
Yeah,
we offer a free strategy session. And on this session, we will address a few things, how to find clarity, what it is that really is happening or going on in their lives right now, and what are the few steps that they can take so that they can begin the movement. And this is one of those awakening moments that when we tap into, Jesse, and you know this, then we listen to, then the universe becomes our best friend.
Yeah.
And even if it's scary, we take that step, the next step will unfold and the following step will unfold. However, if we don't take this step, and this is what I've seen a lot of people do, then we begin to feel stronger negative emotions, a lot, more and more negative emotions. Then we eventually get sick. Then the ego comes in and explains, oh, we did this because, and of course we self-destruct. And when we self-destruct, then it's time for, what does a gardener do with the branch that's not bearing fruit? What? Like, the branch gets clipped. It gets clipped, right? So I don't know if it's still going on.
You are in that place. Yeah, and you actually froze for a second, Robert.
Okay, so I was asking, like, what happens to a fruit, a branch on a fruit tree that's not bearing fruit? What does the gardener do?
Yeah,
Cuts it off.
Yeah.
And that's what I see a lot of people, that's happening to a lot of people, because they are not taking the next step. They are not bearing fruit. They are not sharing their gifts. That means they are not even taking the first step to live purposefully.
Yeah.
So they will, and this pruning means illness, this pruning means relationship trouble, money trouble. So courage, taking the first step, is the only option.
Yep. And you're so right. I mean, most people are out there trying to look for fixes to the symptoms. You know, like if you have a cold, you can take the NyQuil and pass out and still be sick, or you can heal what's really going on and
exactly
boost your immune system, right? That's with health. Well, when it comes to your life and you're having all these symptoms of conflicts or bad relationships or people, you know, bitching at you and complaining to you, or bosses who don't respect you, don't appreciate you, or trying to get clients and clients are broke and they don't invest with you and they don't recognize your value, recognize your expertise, that's you, right? That's what all the top people in the world recognize, that the secret behind all that is it's you, your inner vibration, your inner beliefs, core subconscious beliefs. And you can't just, you know, do an affirmation. You got to go. So you got to find someone who can see your blind spots and can systematically guide you to step by step, unwire all the junk, and then install, upgrade your software, install the things that you need to go on and succeed. So even if it's not with us, you got to find someone that you really resonate with, you connect with, that just sounds like this is the person for you, that you, and you know, right? Your gut instinct, your feminine intuition, whatever you want to call it, there's part of you that says, hey, there's something here. This is something that I need. I don't know why this sounds right. And if that's true, you know, we're happy to talk to you. I'm happy to talk to you. Just see what's going on in your life. You know, you can send me a quick message or friend me here on Facebook. Same with Robert, either one of us. And we can talk to you and see what's really going on and figure out what is that sticking point. What is the thing right now for you that's going to get you to your next level? And if we can offer to help, awesome. And if not, that's fine too, because we're here to help. And we're here to transform people, right? Not give out Band-Aids, but to really help you. And we'll challenge you. We might give you tough love and say, hey, you need to wake up a little bit. And here's your next level. Okay. So if that's something that you connect with, just message us. I'll put a link to maybe just my Google Calendar or something like that. You can book a time to talk to me. And guys, thank you so much for being on here. We appreciate you. Use this group for questions, for connecting, and help you get to your next level. So lots of love, guys. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.